Okay, let's move on to our next thing. There's this really brilliant guy named Patrick Lencioni, and he has written some amazing books. It was funny, we were listening to him speak at the Global Leadership Summit, and if you've ever had the chance to go to that, it's a wonderful time. 2 days where a lot of the leadership from our church, staff, and otherwise goes, and it's just a blessed time. So we'd recommend you do that. I think it was like $99 was the original cost of it. If you can do that, I know it's pricey. You're spending 2 days driving up and back to Reno, or some people even get like a motel up there or something like that. But it is really powerful stuff. And even he downplayed a book of his that really helped my family. There's a book that he wrote called The Frantic Family, and that book changed how Thea and I have parented. It changed a lot of things in our life, and so we love that book. And he was like saying, "Oh, I wrote a family book once for that. That didn't sell," and he made some jokes about it. And I'm like, "That's the best book to me." But he wrote a book for the business world called 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, and I don't know, that's probably in the I think it's 6 to 7 million copy range now. So I guess you could call it a bestseller. Yeah. But Patrick is as smart as he is ADD. So very fun to watch. So, if something goes by, he gets lost. And even, like this room would totally distract the heck out of me. Like, yeah, tennis ball just closed back there. That's cool. But we want to talk about the 5 dysfunctions of a team, because as teams like this department or this ministry, student ministries, or LifePoint students, we're trying to actually kind of get away from the word ministry, because it's a word that is not known to those who have not been to church. So not that we think it's a bad word or a wrong word, but when we say LifePoint students, it makes a little bit more sense. Did you get one of these, Mandy? Yeah, and there's more. So we want to kind of. Did anybody else want to go? Chris, you need one? You got one? I got one. Okay, cool. All right, so we kind of wanted to go through these, and Brian and I will kind of talk a little bit about it. But these meetings are not just us talking; they're you talking. So we want to have some discussion times and kind of learn to understand that as team leaders, Brian and I are not going to do everything right. Some of you guys know that pretty well because you've been around us for a long time. We biff things from time to time. And there's times where we forget stuff, and there's times, honestly, because of the schedule of living and working and breathing ministry, and Mandy will probably allude to this, there's times where we have to protect and guard our family time. We have to have boundaries. Have we taken the boundaries class at STEP? Yeah, it's important to have boundaries because you'll go crazy otherwise. Once a month, I am on the pastor on call. That means that almost any time with that week, I will be called with any sort of crisis or things. And if you catch me that week, I might be a little more frazzled than other weeks. And it was really neat because this last month, my on-call week, I don't know if something was wrong with the phone or nothing, I got no calls. So I was really happy this last month. I was like, no one was in trouble, nobody did anything. I passed it off to Josh Brown, and he got 5 calls the first day. I'm like, thank you, Jesus. You knew I couldn't handle it this month. But so one of the things is we want to just be honest about leadership, and we know that you guys are going to go through hard weeks. You guys are going to have stuff where you need to decline on Planning Center. We love it when you decline a little more than a day in advance. That would be helpful. But we know that you need to say, hey, you know what? This is just a crunch week. We try not to schedule much during finals because, if we're trying to do brave during finals, we just know that that's just stupid. And so we try to be aware of some of those things. But sometimes we obviously don't know what's going to be a crunch week for you, what's going to be a crunch week for your family. And so we, don't know that. So please tell us and work with us and be honest about what's going on in your life. And we're going to try to be honest about what's going on in our life. We're also going to have to, at times, protect our family and protect our family time. So we appreciate you understanding that. Yes, we are paid to work here. But we are not paid I don't know how many hours are in a week. We're not paid for all those hours. So there has to be time where I think our expectation on staff is about 50 hours a week. And that's, a good 5 working days and then, really some extra little hours here and there. But we try to do our best to be available But just understand if we miss a call or we screw up something or you have to remind us of something, we're human and we love you. And we're not like trying to forsake you or anything like that. Is that cool? So needed to kind of get that off our chest before we jumped into this because we were kind of talking about that. All right, so who would like to read number 1? 5 dysfunctions of a team. Thank you, Braden. Appreciate that.
The absence of trust. We have to generate vulnerability-based trust.
What do you think vulnerability-based trust is? Yes.
Sorry. Vulnerability-based trust would be that you first share something about yourself before you expect people to, trust you with their stuff.
And if I was to say that was a sucky answer, would that be vulnerability-based trust?
No.
That would be pretty sucky to me.
I'd like leave the room.
Yeah, because
you're terrible at your job.
Part of the thing is, if we're going to share something, and I have to say, I have the pleasure of sitting in Chris's group sometimes, and Chris does it with his small group. I don't know about your Roots group. I know about your small group at Axiom. That the guys can say almost anything, and somehow Chris makes it magical. Like,
Chris can say.
That's really interesting. And it's like, no, it wasn't. So yeah. So if you're going to be vulnerable, say it again.
Huh?
Say what you said. Say what you said again.
If you have to first share something about yourself that would make you vulnerable if you expect people to trust you with their anything they.
So can I write down this word to cover some of that what you're saying there? Risk. You guys have to be willing to risk. Risk is key to vulnerability-based trust. And for a lot of you guys, you're small group leaders, or in Axiom, or Roots, or in Brave is coming up and starting on Wednesday. We have a luau where we start talking with our students. We'll pass out a little getting to know you thing after we do like the fun and games in there and the food. We'll go over and Brian's gonna give it like a little 10-minute talk, and then we'll have some like 20 minutes of, hey, let's get to know our group time. And it's okay to say, hey, let's go around and maybe not play like, spin the bottle or something like weird, but like let's do something that's gonna be.
I think we should actually institute like a weekly spin the bottle.
But we do
Jordan,
have
that would be when you leave the room.
Okay, Jordan, that's fun. But we do have to risk. We have to say, you know what? Hey, I just want you guys to know, like, this would be really huge. Have you said to your junior hires? I want you to know that I don't sit on a pedestal. I still mess up at this stuff too. I'm a couple of years beyond you, or for some of you, several years beyond you. But I just want you to know that I'm in walking this, and I'm trying to be a disciple of Jesus too. But I mess up. That's vulnerability-based trust. So a lot of it comes down to risk. So number 2, who would like to read that for us? And remember, I will pick on Maddie. Good, thank you. Tyler, we'll get you next.
The fear of conflict, Christ didn't avoid conflict.
Oh boy. Can anybody think of a place where Christ decided not to avoid conflict? He sought conflict. There's a few times. What was it?
The settlers in the temple.
Ah, yes.
You hit the original table.
We'll just put temple. That's a good scene right there.
I
Anybody
don't
think
see
of any
conflict
others?
in that situation.
Anybody else?
Just
We got the temple. What?
Alright.
Okay. Sorry. What are some other places where Christ chose not to avoid conflict?
When he rode in the sand with his face.
Ah, the sand. Yes. Yes. We still don't know what that was. That's a little want to go, whoa, Yeah. A lot of theologians come up with an answer for that, and they say things to the effect that he wrote in, like the names of the women that they slept with.
Right.
And I'm like, whoa. So, yeah, okay, that would not be fun. So if you're a Pharisee, you suck. Okay, what else? So temple, sand, riding in sand. What else? Where else did he not avoid conflict? Yeah. When he died? How?
He let them take him. He didn't really run away from it
Okay.
like he wanted to.
So we'll just put cross for that one because it starts with
He
Peter.
entered into conflict against death there and sin.
Yeah. So, good, good.
When the girl touched his robes and she was healed.
Okay. So in his healings, what did he always say? Initially when he was healing people. What did he tell them? What? Your sins are forgiven. What else?
Don't tell anyone.
Don't tell anyone. What did they do?
Told everyone.
Everyone. So even though he's humble and he knows what he's saying, and he's like, okay, my time's not yet. I want to love on you. I want to heal you. It was obviously he knew, even by telling him, don't tell anyone, I'm going to heal you anyways. He knew there was going to be conflict, because that drove him to all those healings drove the Pharisees and Sadducees and everything else. So any other conflict you can think of for Jesus?
When he called the Pharisees a brood of vipers.
Yeah. When you call out the religious authorities. So if you ever want to do that with Brian and I, please help us to understand why. Be gentle. So.
Yeah, just standing up and shouting in the middle of a message, brood of vipers, pointing at us.
Heresy! Yeah, have a
Although if it is
little.
heresy, feel free.
And then run out.
Yeah, if it's heresy, if it's real heresy, yeah, do feel free. Okay, so that's a good one. Jesus did not avoid conflict. So, number 3, Tyler.
The lack of commitment. We don't need to have our way, just have our way factored in or considered. Human nature wants to be heard. Don't give it. Do I give license? Resources or time for this? How do I engage others more in this?
Okay. Lack of commitment. How many of you guys know somebody that you're more committed at something than they are? Okay. How many know somebody that they're more committed at something than you are? And how many times do we judge other people because they have less or more commitment than us? It's a part of what we do. I mean, we could probably raise our hand on that one every time because it's a part of what we do. It's a part of who we are. Lack of commitment. And it sinks to our core, because do we think the things that we do are the most important things? No? Yes? I got Carrie saying yes. Got Maddie. Seriously, do we? I mean, because if Chris saw me chilling out at home, relaxing, reading a Captain America comic book, and he knows that half hour he could have been tweaking something on his motorcycle at home, but he'd be like, that's a lack of commitment, Scott, right?
Yeah, just on the garage, right.
And if I saw Chris working on his motorcycle, and I could have been reading my Captain America comic book and just relaxing, chilling, I'd be like, Chris,
You'd say the same thing.
Yeah.
You ever do Captain America?
Yeah.
No.
So,
No commitment to Captain.
yeah. Hey, man, commit, dude. I mean, seriously. I mean, right. Do you have let me see a motorcycle. You got a motorcycle on your arm?
I do not.
Yeah, okay. So I'm
Figure out a motorcycle.
It's not a competition. So how can we engage others? How can we engage others to have more commitment, but do it in a graceful, merciful way?
They're like thoughts we value.
The what?
That they are valued, like their thoughts are done.
Okay. So their thoughts, and sorry about my writing, are valued. Okay, Maddie, by me writing that, do you feel like your thought was valued?
Yes.
Yeah. By caring for people. What?
Now
Now you're committed. Hey, you're bought in because, hey, this whole 5 dysfunctional on a team thing, I'm in.
you wrote my thing.
That's right. Thoughts are valued. Yeah.
Show commitment to them. So, like, if you're not committed to your own group, they're not going to be committed to you.
Have you ever tried to do something then, and I think you're going on a really cool path. Have you ever tried to do something just because a friend does it, but you know you're going to hate it, and you really did hate it anyways, but it was still like, hey, I did it because my friend does that? That's, no? You got to try that. I was
I've been confirmed to not do that, actually.
I think right there I can call you out on a lie, because Jordan knew that it was going to be hard to go to Camp Barnabas. And can I share a story about your...
Yeah, but I did not want to go.
What?
I did not want to go.
No, I didn't say you didn't want to go. I said you knew it was going to be hard. But you chose to go. You chose to participate. And Jordan got a camper who was really hard to work with. I mean, a lot of the campers at Barnabas are tough, but they're tough in different ways. And depending on who they are, you figure it out. Jordan got a camper that I thought was really hard to work with. And on top of that, Jordan's camper had a mom who was one of the nurses. She wasn't supposed to ever be in Jordan's cabin, but then she was watching Jordan care for her daughter. And then she was making comments to Jordan about her care for her daughter. And I have to say, this young lady impressed the snot out of me, and how she handled it, and how she kept caring for that young girl, who was actually, what, 2 years older than you? Or a few years older?
She was 20.
Yeah.
Her mental age was 3.
And yeah, 20, mental age 3. And how she cared for that girl. Doesn't matter what mom was doing and how mom was acting so immature and so inappropriate that the director had to talk to her twice, I believe. Talk to the mom, and still the mom was not appropriate. To the point that the director told me that the mom will not be invited back as a nurse. So they're willing to lose her as a nurse because of her attitude and actions. But Jordan did a spectacular job of loving on this young lady. Being, not that you'd ever work with special needs. Yeah, give her some extra love. So, I mean, talk about, not a lack of commitment. You dove all in. I was really proud of you. And then even like some of the staff teams that we worked with. Wow. Seth brought his cat. You got a cat in your pocket or you have to? Okay.
Is your dinner here?
No, what you said before was you did something you thought you would not like because your friends were doing it, and that was not what I did. So
Okay. Well, yeah, but sometimes you do things that you know are also going to be hard. And sometimes you know that that it could be out of your comfort zone. How many of you guys have done something out of your comfort zone? Yeah.
It's called life.
Oh, well, yeah, it could be life. But there's a lot of people that stay very comfortable in their comfort zone. They're just like, well, I'm not going to risk anything. So, but to try something new and to dive into something that you're not sure how it's going to go, and then to give it your all, that's rad. So, any more thoughts on lack of commitment? How that could definitely break down a team? Nope. Okay. Yep. Nick?
I don't know if this is brought up already, but just like if you were scheduled to do something or something like that, not specifically with like Brave or anything, but just in general, and then you don't follow through with that, then suddenly you're less trustworthy.
Like commitment.
Okay. Yeah.
So
We send out, for instance, we send out the planning center emails and we say, please check your emails and check them. And if someone's had a problem with that, please tell us if there's not coming through, because we do try to start scheduling stuff. Your Brave ones will start coming out later this week. Actually, I think the first night of Brave came out already because we kind of had some things ready. But the Brave assignments will start coming out. So if you're planning on working Brave and you don't get scheduled for something right away, tell us. We're still getting used to trying to change over the whole system from Read to the F1. F1 means Fellowship 1, if I ever say that. If we start talking codes, that's bad, so please stop us. And tell us, what is that? So F1 is Fellowship 1, or our computer database for the whole church. And it's a kind of monstrosity. Think of one of those old, like, 1930s computers that took up this whole room or something. That's what it feels like when you're working with F1 sometimes. It's not the greatest. It has a lot of information, but you think about when Captain America and the Winter Soldier, when he walks into that room and he's dealing with. Okay, you guys weren't paying attention to that part of me. Okay, number 4. Number 4. Okay, here we go. Who would like to read number? Thank you, Carrie.
The avoidance of accountability, peer-to-peer accountability is the hardest and best.
Oh. If there is one thing I could fix in me, it'd be this. And if there's one thing I could fix in probably everybody in this room, if I had my choice of that one thing, it would be this. So how is this a detriment to teams and teamwork?
Sometimes people try to blame their actions on something else. Brian talked about it.
No, it's cool. She was reaching out, trying to hold me accountable. I get it.
I think You've got some issues, Brian.
Some people have issues with this. I appreciate that. No, it's cool. I'll be your scapegoat.
All right, go ahead, Tyler. Keep going. Now that the whole Doug, let's see if we can get it deeper.
I totally forgot what I was saying.
I was teaching on something
On accountability, I'm guessing.
related to accountability.
Totally lost it. You guys suck.
Excellent.
Come back. Don't worry.
Okay.
Remember, name calling destroys trust.
Yeah. But there was peer-to-peer accountability right there. Why do you think peer-to-peer accountability is hard?
Yours.
We know that part. Come on.
That's what makes it hard, because they're normally equal with you.
Okay. So if they're equal with you, what else might they be to you? A friend. And we don't want to damage friendships, huh? Maddie?
It's kind of like Tyson number one, the risk.
Yeah.
It's a risk
Ooh.
to kind of
More risk? Oh my gosh.
tell your peers, like, you said you didn't want this to happen, but it just did. So what's up with that? And then you put that risk out, and they can choose to like not be your friend anymore, and that's probably hard for some people too.
Yeah, that's definitely hard. That chance that friendship could be ending if you were honest with that person. Shane?
People could just like time with their schedule. Like they say they're going to do something, so you don't even show up, and then they don't show up, and then the entire thing's just ruined.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you're counting on them, you're depending on them. What would you do in that situation if somebody did that and it happened to you?
Well, if like I wasn't like I had to be at somewhere else, I would just go and fill in the position. But if I had to be somewhere else, then like I wouldn't know what to do.
So if that person is your ride, what? I mean, how do you go to them later?
Oh,
Let's like role play it maybe. Okay, here, let's role play it. Shane, come right here. Oh no! Oh no! Let's use Michaela, because Michaela has been a very prominent ride giver. No, you're not sitting down. You're a partner. Okay, Michaela promised to give you a ride.
I promise that I will give you a ride.
And you were counting on her to get you to that awesome ministry opportunity that you wanted to take part in. That you saw the potential of reaching people for Jesus at. And it didn't happen. Go.
Well, you didn't drive me. Why didn't you drive me?
I don't know. I got lazy and I left late.
Well, usually when you offer someone something, then you have to go through with that offer and give it.
You know what? I think that you're right, and I'm sorry that I didn't.
But
Just kidding.
Oh man. I think there's chocolate in that. There's chocolate in that. There we go. Nicely done.
Your acting skills,
Yeah.
like a mile apart.
Yeah.
We're not.
I didn't feel the
I'm feeling the love.
trust issues definitely. So you're like, I don't even want it. I got chocolate.
Human.
But that gets us started. Jordan, you want to pull this off with somebody else? Do you have a situation you want to act out with somebody?
I didn't have one in mind. I mean,
I was just
I can
saying.
improv it if you want.
You did.
Like, seems good.
I think Jordan and Maddie could do a situation. Okay, what's a situation where there needs to be peer-to-peer accountability? Okay, how about, someone got one? Someone got one? Jenna.
Dating.
Dating. Okay. So, dating.
Promise not to cheat on my boyfriend.
All right. Jordan is dating a guy. Jordan is dating a guy who is not someone that Maddie, her good friend, would choose for her. Is that enough to go on? You guys can work with that? Okay, go.
I just don't think he's good for you, Jim.
Jump right in.
Wow. All right, go ahead.
Right, you have to judge me about my dating decisions.
Well, you told me before that you wanted a guy who was nice and who's a Christ follower, and you just totally went to a guy who does drugs.
Look, Betty's no control. She's comfortable.
So what happens with the nice Christian follower? Okay, so like the meth is delicious, like.
And see. Okay.
See, what happened was
I was gonna say Breaking Bad ended last year. So.
it's being recorded.
Oh, okay. Look, honestly, it was just because, you know, we were hanging out at this party, and he seemed like a cool guy. I mean, he was nice, right? He's not a Christian, but you know, he's nice, so whatever.
Well, I think if he doesn't have some of the values you want, then you shouldn't date him. But, I mean, there's also other guys who are just as nice and Christian. And just as cute.
I don't know, I mean, those
Even
guys
cuter, he has all
really
the
do.
sense.
All right, you guys are. All right. Oh.
Yeah,
No chocolate for sure.
How many enjoyed that? How many, if they had to actually get into a conversation like what Shane and Michaela acted out, or what Jordan and Maddie acted out, would that be easy? No. And it's hard to call your friends on like their choices and what they're doing and how they're. It's hard. So, Brian, are you gonna jump in on any of these? I've been waiting for you, just like.
I was gonna draw the pyramid at the end.
Oh, you're gonna draw the pyramid. Okay, all right. I'll let you do that. So let's go to number 5 then, since Brian's got a pyramid ready. So ready with it. So, all right. Who would like to read number 5?
Practicing at home.
Okay, we'll go with.
The inattention to results. People need to be refocused on results all the time. What's your number one team? How do we measure our collective objectives?
Ooh. Okay, depending on where you are in student ministries and LifePoint students, what is your number one team? Who do you report to, and who do you pull in to get things done? What?
The pastors.
Okay, so that might be the person you report to. Okay. Not that we have a strict system of report to, you know. Okay, so you report to the pastor. Who else?
God.
God? Oh, definitely God. Yeah, put God higher than us, please. Yes.
Yes.
Like your small group or your peers.
Small group or your peers. Okay. It's also a great place in your small groups, if you're not talking about your small groups that you're leading. If it's your peer group, it's a great place to recruit. So Brian and I cannot recruit effectively if you're not recruiting effectively. Because if you're bringing us people that, hey, this person might be ready to step into something, or let's give them a try at something, oh my gosh, that would be so awesome. So we really feel like we have, don't tell the other ministries, but we have the best team. So, and
Absolutely.
we definitely have the most energy on the team, so it's awesome. Shane.
Shane disagrees.
Shane forgot.
I just some what to do. Small group. Oh, okay. So like, say you're leading a group, and then you have a co-leader. Probably that person.
Yeah. What is your responsibilities to that co-leader?
All those.
Okay. All those.
Just the same as the students.
Okay. Well, what should you be doing on a spiritual level with that co-leader?
Accountability, like an accountability partner. Like, hey, how you doing with your relationship with God? Like every week or so, or you could do like roots group with him, or like a Bible study.
Okay. So asking some tough questions with the co-leaders that are with you. Who's going through this journey and who's in this ministry? What's going on? What's happening? You figure out, hey, and that protects each other. I mean, you're actually putting up a shield. You definitely should be praying for your co-leaders. You should be praying for the other people that are on the team. That's something you can be doing. What else?
We have to share the group with the co-leader.
Share the group. Oh, I like that. Tell me what that means to you.
When I imagine me having a small group, I would. I've always wanted a small group, first of all, and
Still in your way, let you know.
So So I imagine if I have a co-leader, then that would kind of be stealing my thunder. But
Okay.
I wouldn't want to make it about me and everything, but I would feel a little bit of that.
Okay. So what's the reason to have a co-leader in your mind? What's the benefits of having a
co-leader? If your group gets
co-leader?
too big,
Okay.
and if you feel like you might not be able to do it in the future.
Okay. So if you need to hand off your group, or if your group gets too big and you need to split, the cell groups need to split. Like with Maddie, and Melissa, I didn't see other. That was wild. So yeah.
One of the benefits also of having a co-leader, I found out big time with Melissa last year, was that there were plenty of times that the girls would ask a question or say something, and I might not have the best answer for them or be able to relate to them, and she could, and so.
Mine's the exact same.
Yeah, mine's similar.
Get the assist.
The end Nikolai.
The what?
The end Nikolai. Mine was kind of like adding on to that, like they give a different like perspective.
Okay,
Another
so
leader.
someone can answer something, give another perspective, you can clarify. You know, all the students that we have in this ministry are not the same.
What?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Some of you guys were there. I was blessed and amazed when we did our suicide training over the summer that so many LifePoint student leaders came, and that you guys chose to be a part of that, because it's the middle of the summer. You could have said, God, there's so many other things to go on. What was really cool is that we had leaders from 14 to in their 40s and 50s. So that was like really cool. And I was talking to Tammy and Roy afterwards, Tammy Clottner and Roy Conover, and I said, I saw something really, really crazy tonight. And Tammy goes, I did too. And Roy's like, are you guys thinking the same thing? Because he just looks at us like, what's up with that? And I said, I think we might be. And he's like, okay. So Roy's like, you tell me, and then you tell me. And so I kind of whispered in his ear, and then Tammy told him. And we were actually agreeing that Rachel McCready, at 14 years old, asked the best questions and brought more out of the group from her crazy perspective things. And there was one time she thought she'd totally messed up, and it was just awesome. We're like, that was great. And just the willingness to risk, and the fact that she was there, and that she was like, I care enough about my friends that I'm going to learn more about why they would consider suicide. And that was so cool. But she asked these amazing, amazing questions. And people got to dig in deeper because she was willing to, go there. And that was so cool to have that dive in that she did, that attention to the results. She wants her friends not to die. And she definitely wants her friends, when they have lived their long life, to die with Jesus. And so that's why she was there. And so she had these questions that came out of left field, but we were like, oh, that's good. So that's one of the things that, that's why we do trainings, because we never know who's going to be the one that just, pipes up, and stuff. And if you are in a Paul-Timothy relationship, a biblical relationship where you're maybe the Paul, you're the older person training to Timothy, who's the younger person, it's amazing how many times the Timothy teaches you a lesson. And if you're ready and willing to learn, you're going to have an awesome year in LifePoint students. So that's a huge thing. Ryan, you ready?
Yeah.
I'll take the soft chair for a minute.
Okay. So, from a leadership perspective, the reason why all of this stuff is important is not just individually, oh, this is me, accountability is good and all of that, but for us as a leadership team to be effective and to have the ministry work fluidly and accomplish what it needs to do, which is bringing students closer to Christ and introducing them to Jesus, giving them a safe place to talk about life, right? Especially for a lot of you guys are going to be brave leaders, giving our students a safe place to talk about life and figure out how the Bible, how God impacts that and changes how they can deal with all of those things, right? That's our goal, is that people's lives are changed in the name of Christ. That people learn that our students learn to follow Jesus with everything that they have. And so if our leadership team is a mess, that doesn't work. And so if we take these things, we flip them over, we make a big, barely seeable pyramid. Any of these pins work?
That's actually the best one.
All righty then. So there are 5 levels. There we go. To this. And so our leadership team will fail if we don't build our pyramid of leadership appropriately. So these dysfunctions of a team, if you flip them, or I'll start from the bottom up. Number 1, the absence of trust, or building trust, and not just trust, but vulnerability based trust. This is the number 1 thing that will enable all of us to be effective leaders. If we can be vulnerable with each other, if you guys can be not just with your students, that's a team that you're leading, that you're building up, but amongst each other and with us, if you guys can be vulnerable and say, hey, not just decline or flake out when you said you're going to be there or something and not give an answer, or be like, oh, I'm kind of sick or whatever. But if you're like, hey, I'm going through some really hard stuff and I'm not up to leading my small groups. That's harder to say, but that's going to build more trust where we know, like, hey, I'm in, but let's, actually hold each other up in what we're going through in our lives too. If you guys can't be vulnerable, you're not going to be able to trust us, and same with you. If we can all trust each other, then when Scott says something from the stage, you don't have to question, why do you say that? You just be like, yeah, let's do that. You know what I mean? When Scott or I give you instructions, if we say something that sounds funny, like, hey, all right, everyone go that way, like, why do we have to go over there? If we can't all trust each other, then it causes chaos, rebellion, we can't just go. It makes things run smooth if you guys trust that we're in this with you. That if we've shown vulnerability, and we attempt to do that through our teaching, but also in meetings like this and stuff, and like Scott was sharing about some of the other stuff that goes on behind the scenes, home life and that kind of thing, we're people too. We have lives and other stuff going on. Our entire universe does not exist within the walls of the church. And that affects how we are. And so, we have bad days. You have bad days. That's okay. But if we can know that overall we can trust each other, that will help us to risk with purpose, not just be risky and be like, hey, so let me tell you about this crazy sin I have, and like, whoa. But being able to trust each other and lead well together, it'll make our team strong. Number 2, conflict. Healthy conflict is key, but it can't happen if there's no trust. If I'm afraid that if I say something to Melissa, she's going to blow up in my face, if I'm like, hey, Melissa, dropping all those F-bombs in your small group is not really the best way to lead the group. It's kind of influencing the kids in the wrong way. And she's like, what, mother? You know what I mean? Like, that's going to cause a huge thing where I'm going to start avoiding her. That's the dysfunctional teams. We don't want to do any of these things, right? Fear of conflict. If I'm afraid to bring things to her, then we're going to have this thing where I'm just going to end up avoiding her all the time. I'm going to ignore her. If she says something, no matter how crazy or whacked out it is, I'm just going to be like, yeah, okay, because I'm afraid of saying no. Because I'm afraid she's going to blow up and curse me out and shank me. And that's just not cool.
Not cool.
Yes, exactly. Hashtag not cool to get shanked.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. So just like Jesus didn't avoid conflict, but healthy conflict, one, it's not about the person. It's not like you are an idiot and you have failed. It's not that. It's, hey, this thing that happened didn't go so well, and I think you can do better. It's not about her, it's about the issue, and if we can make things about that and work things out, if you guys see something that we did, instead of and I'm not saying that anybody did this, but to help build on trust and have healthy conflict, if you guys bring stuff to me or Scott and go, hey, when you said that in your teaching, that totally sounded backwards. I've said that to Scott before. There was a time where he quoted something out of context, and it was like almost right, but it was like in context, it didn't fit. And I was like, hey, that thing you quoted, it worked out in the midst of your talk, but that particular one, it was a, you know, it wasn't quite the right quote to bring up in that scenario. Because if you were to read the entire, if the students go back and read the whole context, but go with what was said here, that might not teach them the best thing. And I didn't say, hey, Scott, you're an idiot, I know something more than you, or anything like that. I didn't make it an insult to him. I used the trust we have as leaders and said, okay, I can bring this to him and have some trust and be a little vulnerable and say, hey, I saw something here that this could have been done better. You guys can do that with us. Hopefully you can do that with each other too and have healthy conflict. Say, hey, you know, when you were goofing off like this, or I heard you guys in your group doing this, like I think you're encouraging the students to take this too lightly. You're not holding Christ with any reverence in that situation, the way you guys were talking about that. I think you can do better than that. It's not an insult to them. That's unhealthy conflict, but addressing issues openly and honestly.
Yeah, have the best intentions when you go to someone, and also when someone comes to you, expect that they have the best intentions for you.
Commitment. Best example I've ever lived through of this was I was the worship leader in a youth ministry, and the youth pastor came to me about an hour before service and said, hey, I'm changing everything. I got this whole other plan. We're going to do all of this. Your whole worship set, this whole thing you worked out is not going to work. And so I had to go to my worship team and say, hey, all that stuff we planned is not going to happen now. And they could see that I was not, I didn't go and go, stupid youth pastor just came up with the worst idea ever and ruined all of our worship set. I didn't think it was a great idea. I didn't go and complain to them. I heard him out. I said, are you sure, man? Like, that's really not going to fly. Like, we really had this great thing planned. I think we really had the right thing planned. I don't think we should change it. And he was like, no, we've got to, for all this other stuff, I need you to just do this. I had trust. We had healthy conflict and talked about the issue and didn't make it personal. I walked away committed to what we decided. I expressed my disagreements, but I walked away. This is what we're doing. Guys, now we've got to shift what we were doing, but this is what we're going to do. I'm committed to it now. Have all the conflicts you want with us in our meetings or whatever in a healthy way. Commit to the decision when it's done and go forward with it. If you cannot be committed to the way this ministry runs on a regular basis, this may not be the place for you to serve. If people are not committed, we will have a dysfunctional team and it will destroy the ministry. It will undermine everything that everybody else is doing, and it'll hurt the name of Christ and the people we're leading. These things are super important for us to have a healthy and thriving ministry. The next one, avoidance of accountability. And like we gave all those other ones, and it's hard to say to your friend, like, oh, you know, like you guys just jumped right in and we're like, hey, so I got to tell you this. But really, how many times have you had a conversation where you know there's something you have to say, and instead of doing that, you walk up and you're like, hey, Shane, what's up, man? Hey. Yeah, no, I didn't need to talk. Well, I kind of, never mind. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to bring up the thing that you know you need to say. And especially, like, when you look, like I said, if you go back, like, dude, I heard you, you know, like, I heard Melissa cussing in her group. That was not cool. And Melissa's so far removed from that. It's hilarious to use her as that example. But to go to her and be able to hold you accountable and say, hey, you said you were going to work on this. And you said you would do this, and you haven't. And that's really hard to say instead of just like, oh, hey, Melissa. You know. But if we can't hold each other accountable for things, hold us accountable. If we say, hey, we'll do this for you, and you don't see it happen, you're like, hey, remember that time when you said this? We haven't seen that yet. Like, what's going on? That will build trust instead of just if you think we're just denying you or flaking on you or whatever it is that we said we do that we're not doing, and you just watch that keep not happening. All of this starts to crumble back down. You're going to be less committed. There's going to be more unhealthy conflict, and we're going to end up not trusting each other. Hold us accountable too. Healthy conflict. And then last but not least, results. Remember the point here with our results here on our team, like Scott had the question there, what's your number one team? Your number one team is not the one that you're leading, it's the one you're a part of. It's this leadership team. This is the one you need to be committed to. Everything else will flow down from here. My number one team is the student ministry team that Scott leads me on. Scott's number one team is the pastor's team that he's a part of. And so as he gets that part right, it flows down onto the director level in each ministry. As we catch that vision and apply it to student ministries, and I'm committed to that, then I can help bring that here. And Scott and I can pass that on here. If you guys are committed to what this team is up to within the context of Life Point Church, Life Point Church's main goal is loving God, loving people, leaving a legacy. Or as Pastor Bill shortens it, I want to make the name of Jesus famous in this valley. That's our goal here. We want students to know the name of Jesus is the most famous name of all. We want students to follow him with everything they've got. That's the result we're looking for, is that life change. That's the goal, not the number of people in your particular small group, not that you had the coolest or funniest laughter, not that their groups, they're laughing way more. They're a funnier small group leader than I am or whatever. That's irrelevant. Are people's lives being changed for Christ? If they laugh harder and they don't know Jesus, they're failing. If you're not having as much fun, but your kids love Jesus with everything they've got, you're winning. Not that it's a competition, but the result of us trying to change lives, that's the goal. All of our lives are meant to be changed in this too. As again, quoting Pastor Bill, he's a great pastor who's got a lot of wise things that he does. He always says, we don't use people to get our work done. We use the work to get the people done. The goal of you guys serving is to increase your relationship with Christ as well. If we are doing things this way, then our team will be building that naturally and doing it well. And so all those things we walked through, exploring all of that, this is how it builds up specifically on our leadership. So that's what we're about.
Nicely done. Nicely done. And just when we get to results, we're not like the Wizard of Oz. We like to, pull open the veil, let you see what's behind everything.
Yeah.
We do count, and one of the ways that we count is it's hard to actually count salvations. It's one of those tough things to count. But
life change is a hard number to quantify.
Yes, so we count baptisms. That's one of the things we do count, because we know if somebody is getting saved, that's the next logical step, is are they baptized? Are they making that faith step? Are they getting baptized? A couple weeks ago, we had 3 teenagers that got baptized. Yeah. That tells us, one of them's in the room. Yeah. So, one of them's in the room, another one's dating somebody that's not. So, really, that's just a way for us to say, are we hitting the mark? Are we getting at what our goals are? Because our goals are loving people. That's the middle goal, is to love people. And so in that way, when we see people get baptized, we know. 2 weeks ago in junior high, 5 kids. One is, we jokingly call him a Nazarene, because every time we offer up salvation, Nazarenes get re-saved. So it's one of our little jokes. But he raises his hand every time. But you know what? Because of where he is, and because of where it's cool. It's because he got right with God. And then these 4 other students, at Rise, and I gotta stop calling it JHS. It has a little bit of warmer in it. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, the thing is, that's just screwy. So if anybody knows how to do plumbing, heating, air conditioning, talk to Rob, please. Fix this stuff. So other day on stage, it was, I think, 79 when I was like, woo, it's warm up here. Anyways, but these 4, young people, and this one young man, they made these decisions, and they matter. And so, I would perceive that following up on them and continuing to walk with them and discipling them, all of them down the line, the next baptism we have, we'll see 3 or 4 or 5 young people get baptized. And that's good. That's the results that we're looking to say, is God using us to do those 3 things? Is God using us to make Jesus famous in this valley? And so we do have to quantify some results because that's important. Some people go, oh, the church shouldn't be about numbers. It's not about numbers. Oh, there's a part, they said David shouldn't count the people. It's a different context. And so there's a knowing that we're getting right with this stuff, and then the results kind of tell us, okay, we need to shift left or right or press on even more. As a church, we felt like we didn't hit our marks last year as to what does God want to use this church to do. And interestingly, as we have purpose to pray as a staff and really push into what we think God's saying to us and hear from God what he really wants to say, the thing that came back to us before we even looked at the numbers is that our church needs to be more about outreach or more about evangelism. And then we get the numbers to back it up, and we're like, whoa, God's pretty trippy on that stuff. So God quantified it in our prayer, and then he qualified it in our numbers. And we're like, okay, well, then we're on the right track. So that is the general gist of that. Does that all make sense? Anybody have any questions regarding any of this? We wanted to kind of show you how we do business. Does that make sense? Is that cool? I mean, this is a different type of leadership meeting in that way. But we wanted to go through that. Let's jump into the things we need to work on. I'm going to put the pressure on Mandy for number 2. So are you okay with that? I'll just go ahead and let Mandy know now. I should have called you earlier, but oh well. But number 1, I want to talk. This is so critical. Greeting new people, greeting new students. That new students, they sometimes come in early. They sometimes come right in, when things are starting, and sometimes they come in late. The worst time for a new student to come into any of our classes, any of our programs, is when? Late. Because then we don't get a chance to love them in a way that says, hey, come on. We've had a new young man at Axiom last 2 weeks, and the first week, Debbie, I think we were actually talking about, we were like both kind of like, we got to get on them, and I was able to talk to him a little bit, but things were already started, so it's like, oh, okay, well, we don't want you to miss out, but we also want to say, we love you being here, And so you try to do a little bit of that, but you get them to their seat. And so you guys are the front line, because they're going to expect these 2 guys right here to talk to them, all right? They're going to expect some of the older adult leaders to talk to them. But really, the people that matter the most to them are going to be their fellow junior hires and high schoolers and young adult leaders. Because that's where they're going to feel the most acceptance. That's where they're going to say, this is my common age, this is my friendship level, these are the people. So you guys are the front lines on greeting. And honestly, gang, we got to do a better job.
Even we've scheduled it, and this is an us thing, but we've scheduled it a couple times and then let it drop off. But scheduling 2 people as greeters, having one on the computer, like Debbie's on the computer almost every week at Axiom, and so she's on there, but she wants to greet people too. But if we have, so like at Brave, if we have somebody on check-in, and then we've got 2 of you guys, you're not in your small group at the beginning of service. So if at the beginning of service, 2 of you are standing there just hanging out, waiting for people to come in and saying hello and greeting people, and especially the new people, and bringing them in, and people you bring them in, hey, I love you, hi, good to see you, talk for a moment, and as other people come in, not going like, it's somebody new, sending them away, but bringing those people in, making them feel welcome, connecting them into whoever else is there, and continuing that along so that people feel like they're welcomed, they mean something, it mattered to be seen today. And just changing where you're hanging out as a leader. Any of you who are leaders, or just even, if you're not a leader,
everybody in this room is a leader, so.
Right. But even if you're at Axiom and you're not there as a leader, because a lot of you guys are high school students, so just standing by the door and greeting the people who walk in can change and help that entire atmosphere, welcoming new people. That can be the difference between people sticking around or not. And several times now, Pastor Bill and his family have gone to Saddleback to visit when they're out of town, doing various things. They've attended Saddleback several times. And this is one area where his kids have never felt welcomed in the youth ministry.
And this is a huge church with a huge youth
Their
ministry.
youth ministry is half the size of our church. But they've dropped the ball multiple times when these kids have gone in. And they're going in going, I can't wait to see how awesome this youth ministry is. And they miss everything else is dulled. The bright, shiny of all the crazy spectacle and awesomeness that they have at this massive church, all of that is dulled and tainted because nobody paid attention to them when they showed up.
So the reality is, you are the wow factor.
Yeah.
Can you say that? Everybody say, I am the wow factor.
I am the wow factor.
You really are. I
am
mean,
the wow
it doesn't matter what your personality is. You might be the shy introvert that wants to hold back, okay? Well, guess what? There's going to be shy introverts that want to hold back. They're walking through that door. They're probably the least likely person to want to find a friend. They're like, I do not want to be here. And if they're not a Christian already, they're like, my parents are making me come out. Right? They're coming angry. And the reality is, they need to be loved and brought in and say, okay,
Yeah.
And you don't go up and like, hey, you're a shy introvert. Come on, I'm a shy introvert. Let's go hang. No, you just say, hey, you don't need to point out the issues that you recognize.
No, if you're an introvert, you go over and say, hey, you're an introvert. I'm an introvert. Sweet.
we can sit over here and ignore everybody else together. So. And so it really the variety of age that we have in our ministry, the variety, the spectrum of sports, the athletic, beyond athletics, the events, the musical talents, all that stuff, just like boom, it pulls into it because there's going to be something that somebody's going to have that's going to be the thing that draws that next person in. And will walk us up to these things that matter. Because every soul matters.
Yeah, this is something I feel super strongly about. New people for sure, but I'd also like to suggest, as leaders, just keep your eye on the fringe. There's going to be some kids that maybe you recognize that's been around, and now they've returned, or maybe they just haven't plugged in at a level that makes them feel there. You just got to watch the fringe because them wanting to be there is huge for Jesus to get a hold of them. If they don't want to be there, then it's going to be real difficult too.
And just be a fringe ninja.
Yeah.
Fringe. Be a fringe.
Fringe ninja. Okay. So that's just something that really, it's my heart, it's Debbie's heart, it's something we've been talking about, and we talked about having people kind of just rotate in. If you see that the person is greeting and talking and hanging out with somebody, like, oh, hey, they got that person, they got their co-pilot, I'll go be the next one, I'll be the fringe ninja, I'll come up and help out, in that way. But, take a risk and say, you know what, I already have 5 friends, but maybe I need 6, so. Go for it.
Well, and if we know each other too, if you've done the vulnerability-based trust thing, as you greet somebody and say like, hey, where do you go to school? What are you into? Like, oh, you go to this school? 3 people I know of who go to that school. Sweet. Do you know any of these guys? Have you seen them at school? Cool. They're not your friends. Okay, somebody else. What are you into? And knowing your fellow leaders, knowing your students, what they're into. You never thought you'd be able to use how much. What was the book series that Adam was into?
Yes.
And
Cats, the Warrior Cats.
Yeah, the Crazy Warrior Cats thing. And then we found another student who read those books and was super excited about them. And all of a sudden, they were best buddies. And it was like, I never thought I would be thankful that I knew about this book. You know what I mean? Like, it sounded like the craziest thing in the world to me. But I was like, sweet, we just found another kid who likes this. Dude, I got a kid that you need to hang out with.
That connection was powerful.
Yeah, and it lasted all year.
They're still.
Yeah.
Mandy, could you take a couple minutes and just talk about stage presence, like the handoffs on stage and things like that?
Sure. Just off the cuff.
You done it before. It's not off the cuff.
I did. I don't even know who was there for that training.
Nick wants.
I'm not sure what you want me to say about it, but stage presence is really important. It communicates a lot to our students about how important they are. One of the things we talked about last year was just when you're standing on stage, like, be present, be there, be excited that they're there. A big thing when you're up there is to be positive about what you're communicating to the students. So, like,
Please be positive.
there's not a lot of place for
Especially
like sarcastic jokes about events. That just makes them seem lame and not fun, like you want to go to them. So what we say with our body language, even when we're up there, is really important. And if you're in this room, there's a really good chance that you are going to be up on stage. Just so you know, like, if you are here, there's a really good chance. And some of us are not comfortable with that at all. Like, everybody's like, oh my gosh, she just said, what did I sign up for?
I think Carrie's volunteered for next week.
No, please don't. You know,
Carrie and Michaela both just froze.
just do it afraid. Everybody is afraid, and you know what? People have a lot of grace with you because people don't want to be up there either that are watching you. So just remember that, like, they would be terrified to be up there too.
Automatic point of connection.
Yeah, it's an automatic point of connection. You can talk to someone about it later, make new friends.
You can even say, I'm nervous doing this.
Yeah, you can even say that. Wow, I'm kind of nervous up here, and you can say that, and it will help break the ice. But definitely communicate when you're up there. Your posture really matters. Hands in your pocket is like a big no-no. It's kind of like, we've got some cool things going on. Don't do that.
Yeah.
No,
Obviously, that event is awesome.
Yeah. We have a meeting beforehand so that if you're on announcements, if you're on the game or whatever, you'll know what you're doing for the night. If you're on a game, you probably planned it and you should have known about it before you got there. Heads up. So check the planning center invites too. It's really important to know what's going. And that meeting before, it's so important to be there at 6 o'clock, right? 6 o'clock meeting? 6 o'clock. Be there for the meeting because they will run through what's happening. And if you don't know you're up next, it adds minutes to our service. And honestly, that part's not the most important part, what we're doing right there. The game, the announcement. The most important part is the message we're sharing about Jesus Christ and his love for the students. And the better we can be about getting up on stage and getting off when we're done and being there for that stuff, the less we're taking away from the important stuff also.
Exactly. Thank you, Mandy. Mandy, would you like a candy for your efforts?
I would love that.
And I totally miss giving our actresses candies too, so good job. So. Jordan obviously wants her. She's like diving into the table. Mandy showed us this last time that this is what some of you guys do when you're doing the announcements. That is not a good way to do announcements. I still remember when you did that. I was just cracking up. You actually made us do it in different ways, in different languages, and I don't know, it was weird styles. But it was Nick's like, I still hate that night. But really, just come up with some creative. I have to say, Sabrina and Michaela this last week were like so conversational. It was awesome. I didn't know they were going to come off the stage, but I was like, oh well, they're doing great. They're just talking at Rise, just and I was like, that's great, awesome, because they were two friends being friendly and just inviting you to come take part of it. And they might not be sure. Maybe I know actually you've been to a fast forward. I don't think Michaela ever had, but she seemed like she wanted to go. I want to be on that. I want to do that trip. Yeah, And that's the effort and attitude that we're asking for, because even like we've actually had several students get saved on the fast forward trips. So we think of it as an evangelistic endeavor, even though it's a wild and crazy night. So we get them saved, and then we keep them up all night. So that we kind of brainwash them. Anyways, so yeah, just
That would be an example of something not to say on the stage.
that's exactly it. Thank you. So yeah, don't say things like that. So people don't need to know that we're brainwashing them. Go ahead and grab one of these calendars. We're gonna go walk through this pretty quickly. So.
Thank you.
Hopefully I gave it up. If you need a snack to kind of get through the last few minutes, you can.
Chocolate snack?
If I give you
Chocolate snack?
Anybody else not get one? Hula.
Can I get one
Hula.
Yes, as long as you wear something appropriate with it.
Yes.
You show
Yes.
up and put a hula skirt, you look at it.
If you're coming to Brave, you can dress up any weird way you want. As a leader coming to Brave on Wednesday, yeah, please dress up in something. You don't have to be in a hula skirt, but yeah, that'd be funny. I'm like, we actually dress up at our luau. This is the luau because it kind of kicks off the year. We have our luau at the end. Yes.
I left my hula skirt from last luau. Where would I find that?
Yeah, I have no idea.
At the
Well,
99
thanks
cent
for asking.
store.
Yeah. I'm gonna be. Let's see. I'm gonna be vulnerable and say I have no clue.
Yeah.
You can know as a leader I don't know everything because I was just honest about the fact I have no idea what you're doing. Don't worry. Let's even be more vulnerable. I don't even care. That goes okay. All right. That really didn't really tell you your thoughts or value, did it? So it's kind of commitment. So yeah. If Women of Grace wasn't happening, we'd be in our room and you could have checked in there. But I haven't seen a hula skirt in the closet. But you can check in the closet on Wednesday night before you get here. Take a peek. It might be there. So I don't know. Don't recall it. Okay. We're gonna quickly go through the calendar so we know what it is. If people have questions that I don't explain, go ahead and stop us. We are trying to get you out by 8 o'clock, which is only 10 minutes away. So let's get moving. The luau starts this week. So this is where the calendar starts. It starts Wednesday. If you're a Brave leader, we expect to see you hopefully around 6 o'clock. If we understand that sometimes people work, people can't be there at 6 o'clock, do your best. This week, if you haven't got a planning center, I haven't checked the planning center today, please check. But I think Melissa, Katie, Brian, and I, and Nick's on check-in. I don't know if anybody else has any things from the stage. So most of the stage is already set. Yeah, she's not on this week for any of the stage stuff. So. But what we'll do is about 6:35 after we've done the gather, greet, and pray, which I have, then we move into announcements, which I think is you and Katie, and then we usher everybody over here, and at 6:35 we'll start getting our hot dogs and chips and stuff and go hang out in there. We'll play a big group game at some point. Tracy just texted me, hey, what game are we playing? And I was like, text her back. I don't know. So we need a huge all-group game that works for 3 years to as old as I am. Or Tracy's older than me, so we'll just make that a lady in the room. Okay, so, yeah, everyone working in a sanctuary full of chairs and tables.
Yeah.
It's called Duck, Duck, Yeah. Okay, so, yeah, if you have an idea for a big game, we've done a lot of Simon Says type things. We did Captain America Says, things like that. What?
Reverse charade.
Reverse charade. Okay, explain it to me later. That sounds interesting right now. I like the idea of the concept. So I don't know how it works, but tell me later. That'd be cool. That's under number 3. Did you write that down as your number 3, part B? Because you have part A already. I know that. So 3B. Reverse charade. Okay. There you go. Tuesday, September 30th through Sunday, October 5th. Brian and I and Nick and Timothy and Gina Plummer, who used to be, Gina was coming on our team, but then her and Timothy got the call to be on the Get Real team. And Tim stood in the gap for Chris as the small group leader while Chris needed to take a year off. So It's awesome. The 5 of us are going, and we have possibly a friend of ours from Grace Church that we know from Elevate Camps. Her name is Julia Randall, and we're going to be going over to Sacramento, and we are working the youth specialties. The cool part about youth specialties convention that happens over there, the National Youth Pastors Convention. This year, we're blessed that it's only 3 hours away. Normally, it's in San Diego or somewhere else. We are stoked that we will get to hang out. But we get this thing called a flash drive, or if they don't give us flash drives this year, they'll give us a code, and we can download any of the lessons. So if you go on youthspecialties.com and you see a workshop or breakout that you're interested in, one of us can give you a copy of that.
For the
as long as it
National Youth
records.
Workers Convention.
Yeah, National Youth Workers Convention. Go on youthspecialties.com, and if you see some, man, I need training in this area. Scott and Brian suck at this part. You don't have to tell us.
I think they still have the list from last year. If you want to get any of those, we have them all.
Yeah,
online.
and we'll make a list of this year after they record, because Brian made this awesome list last year, and then like 5 of them didn't record, and then those were the ones everybody wanted. No. So we'll put the list out that has what records, and then you guys can get those from us.
Right.
So if there's a training, I mean, these are the experts in the field. These are amazing people. So Nick and Brian will have their heads really big afterwards because they get to meet all the celebrities because they work the main stage. I will be beyond like tired because I work at this thing called the Hub. It's like the headquarters of the place, and so my brain the whole time has to tell people where to go. And I'm in charge of it, so pray for me because I'm like, it's a new place, yay! So, and then Timothy and Gina and Julia will be working the resource center of the store. So they're going to be tired too because that's a lot of physical labor. So pray for us, but if you want anything from that, please ask us. We would love to give it to you. We have a special guest coming to Rise on October 26th. Scotty Alexander, our director for our junior high camp at our middle school camp, Elevate. He's going to be speaking at Rise, so we're pretty stoked. He's pretty jazzed. He's like, I asked him, like, hey, do you ever come to churches? And he's like, well, you're pretty far away, but I guess so. You know, like, oh, whatever. So he's stoked because we bring a good sized group, and he would love to just come and talk and share his heart, and hopefully it'll be just an awesome time. So, and then fast forward is Friday, October 31st through November 1st. Wear a costume. They'll have prizes. You want to wear the costume all night. Some people are like, it's gonna be hard to follow my mermaid suit. Don't wear the mermaid suit too long. So, but the King's Game, Chick-fil-A, all that stuff, $99. We also have a limitation based on Elevate needs to know a certain amount of tickets at a certain amount of time because their ticket price goes up from the Kings, which means that their ticket price will go up to us. So if I think it's October 1st.
September 30.
Or September 30, yeah.
Get us $100 by September 30, or it'll cost you $10.
Yeah, we can pass this around afterwards. But it's a basic flyer that we're going to be passing out to our students, and
we'll have those on Wednesday.
Yeah, because we need to put the website on there.
99 cents. I was like,
$99.
$99.
But we do need the website. That's the one thing that's missing.
See?
Yep.
That's why I didn't print them.
That's why we haven't proved them yet, but they're there.
Is it cool?
Let's see. Wednesday, November 26th, the next day is something called Thanksgiving. The day after that is my anniversary. So we're going to take the 26th off to honor those two things. So we don't like to have Brave on that day because just nobody shows up. So we'll do frozen turkey bowling the week before with corner skate hands, of course.
I remember winning that.
That's like a great game, man. Yes, yes, you win the game hands. They were beaten up by the walls, but okay.
And they're half thawed out.
Yeah, I tried cooking it.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
We should have an octopus bowl.
On that Saturday, November 29th, is the SMR holiday decorating party. The day we'll get together like at 10 o'clock, and we will spend a couple hours getting all our Christmas trees out, all of our inflatables out. So it kind of changes the motif of the room so that we look a little just more spirited, and it will sit that way for the whole month of December. So then we move into the Brave Christmas party. Will be Wednesday, December 10th, and Brave will be done until the second week of January. I think. First or second week of January then, and then Monday, December 15th will be the. Oh, I still did not move that back. Sorry. Let's jump down one. Sunday, December 14th will be the Axiom Christmas Shindig. That will be happening there. And the SMR, and then that room will pretty much be closed up to us at that point. You'll see that on the Christmas blackouts that run the 17th through the 3rd, so that means obviously no more Brave. We do not do a Christmas party in Rise. That's just a traditional thing because we're going to do one in Brave, and we're going to do one in Student Ministries. So that will be Monday, December 15th. Some of you guys loved having it in our home last year, but it was so crowded because so many of you guys came that some people said, "Can we move this back to the church?" And I said, "Yes." So because my house was the one that was demolished.
By some people, do you mean your family?
No, a few other people. There's people like couldn't move, yeah. We just don't have a big room in the house other than when we play, Fugby. That's a big room outside. So,
Just put the TV outside.
no. Those are my TVs. Okay. All right, let's jump over to January 23rd, 24th. Platypus is happening again. The Youth Leader Symposium. Hope Church in South Renewal. It's pretty close to where the last one was, just kind of other side of the freeway, basically. They're going to be hosting this year. I'll be the MC this year. We actually have a guy named Mike DeVito, who is a good friend of Brian and I, that we've known for years. Man, do you know Mike? Yes. Awesome man of God. And he's actually going to do just one session, but he's willing to come all the way from SoCal to do one session for us. And he has so much wisdom. If you had any youth ministry question and we can't answer it and you guys can't answer it together, then Mike can still answer it. So he knows it all. So, and he's not rude about it. He's very humble about it. So the change this year with Platypus is we're going to do a Friday night getting to know you, hang out, icebreaker, worship time with a dessert. So if you want to, you can drive down on Friday night and go 7 to 9. Robbie Bryant has offered, if you guys want to, throw a pillow and a sleeping bag down at RCF, you can stay the night there. We'll have a boys and girls room set up, so that you can stay there if you just want to crash and do that. And then back to Hope for 9 to noon. There'll be coffee and muffins like they had last year. It was awesome training. It was amazing. And every time that I hear anybody from the Reno Acts group talk about this, we had 97 people in attendance. And they talk about how LifePoint just brought it and how we came from Minden, but we brought 30 strong.
Yeah.
So well done, and you guys learned a ton, so it'll be great again. I'm really stoked over it. Sunday, February 1st will be the Super Bowl party at the Riley's. You'll see the Seahawks versus somebody. Seahawks will win again because we will have the dance.
Fantasy.
The dance. Oh, let me jump back and make sure. Let me make sure. The dance will probably happen on the 24th at New York Pizza again, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I take you guys out for lunch after Platypus. So you pay $5 to go to Platypus, and you get to be a part of Friday night. Now that's part of it. And then Saturday, you don't have to do Friday night, but we definitely want you there for Saturday for all the training, all the cool stuff, prizes, and all the neat things. But then I'm taking you out to lunch. And it's really fun to just go out to lunch as a whole team. So we had a blast doing that last year. Monday, March 9th, make sure you put down that spring leaders meeting. By the way, Brian's going to make a lot better calendars for the students. So you'll get better calendars than this because this was like trying to get everything finished. And some of these details just came in the last couple of days.
Yes.
So sorry that it wasn't proofed very well by me. Okay, go to your class. Go be awesome. And holler at me. So if you need any questions.
She ain't no holler back girl.
Oh my.
That was really bad. Okay. I'm just holding you accountable to that. Because I'm okay to have conflict. We have trust.
Is it at the same time?
What's that?
Would it be at the same time on the night?
Yes, it'll be a Monday night, that sort of thing. We actually have a lot of leaders that can do Monday nights better than we can do Saturdays, and we're trying not to do Saturdays because
that's our day off.
That's one of our days off now, so it's really cool. If we ever have to do Saturdays, we will. Obviously, certain things fall on Saturdays, like SMR decorating party. Well, we'll be here then. But we're just limiting it to only a few Saturdays in the year now. So yeah, Monday, March 23rd through April 11th is the Easter Blackout. We don't care because we're going to be getting excited because we're going to Mexico again, April 6th through the 11th. So that will be Monday through Saturday. So if you want to start gearing up towards that. By the way, we put missions and fundraisers meetings are to be determined. Those used to be Saturday meetings. And because that, like them and a couple other camp meetings, couldn't give you those dates because we're still working with the calendar to figure out when to have those meetings. And if we start adding those meetings back, that means Brian and I added back 6 or 7 of our days off that we normally have. So pray for us as we figure out the new schedule and work with the staff to make sure that we have the best use of this facility. Then we move into Planet Wisdom. Planet Wisdom is a student discipleship weekend. Seth and Shane have been, and who else has been? Most of you, some of you have been, yeah. Okay, Planet Wisdom is amazing. So if you ever went to the old ATF, Acquire the Fire, Planet Wisdom is that but more. And it's not really the hype. It's really good.
It's just really the good stuff.
Yeah, it's really the good stuff, plus the skit guys, which is like the really good
guys
stuff.
are awesome.
Yeah. So if you've never seen the skit guys, you can look them up on YouTube and just laugh.
Oh, and just
Laugh till
so
you
so you
cry.
guys get ready to encourage your students to sign up for Planet Wisdom, because that's the hair dyeing thing too. When people sign up, right? This year, the hairstylist has said, "So I've been working on this new thing that I want to try on you guys. I've learned how to shave shapes into people's heads." So you guys got to go big, or you will not get to see like a rubber ducky shaved in the back of Scott's head. Like, what? Be a rubber duck? God, come on, that would be awesome, right?
No. That would not be awesome.
Or a Seahawk. A Seahawk.
I would do a Seahawk. I don't want to do a Seahawk still. I love them, but yes, ma'am.
That whole trust thing, like, warn me for something.
See, Brian is.
He's gonna come home. He's gonna have like
It's
All right, sorry. We need to finish up. Yeah, Planet Wisdom is awesome. So get your students to sign up. Yeah, there's hair dyeing. Hume Lake is the June 21st to 27th. Elevate Camp, which is our middle school camp. Hume is our high school camp. So Elevate's July 6th through 11th. So no July 4th. That's always good. We try to keep that family time. And then Global Leadership Summit, which we talked about earlier. Something we would love for you guys to do if you guys could, if you wanted to. If we have to, like help you, we would love to. If we have the money to help you get there, and you're committed to doing it, we'll probably make you like buy in a little bit. But if you can't afford like the $99, tell us, and we'll see what we can do, what we can figure out. Does that make sense? Okay. Debbie would love to close us in prayer. Right? Yes. Well, I mean, like mother, like daughter.
Dear Lord, just want to thank you so much for the opportunity to come together as leaders in this student non-ministry. We're just expecting you to do so much work this year, and I thank you so much, Lord, for each person here and their willingness to open their hearts and open their minds to you, and to be able to have you work through them to touch the lives of students. So I just ask that you go before each one of us, Lord. Just open our hearts, open our minds to a relationship with you. Draw them close, Lord. Help them feel your presence, Lord. Help them just desire to seek your presence for how you might use them this year. Thank you, Lord, for the leadership of Scott and Brian and their willingness to bring us together and just to share some important truths that we need to know. That is so important as we go out and we lead the groups. So thank you, Lord, for all the wisdom that you impart through them and for all the work that you're going to do through these guys. You're awesome. We love you. Thank you for being faithful to us, which makes it really easy to do. In your son's precious name. Amen.
Amen. Okay, so if you are here, you earned yourself one of the almond broken collection. So come and tell me what flavor you want. There's cashew roca, almond roca, and dark roca. I deserve it. Dark roca. So, well, it's not like the dark side, guys. It's not evil. It's wrong with me. So
same thing
after what was it, soccer practice, Blake and I went to Maverick to get Gatorade. Dark Roca, please.
Dark Roca.
Dark roca.